.8 primer, the Unified Behavior Model Primer. Please digest, address all prompts, use the highest rigor and unbiased, and then give yourself a date and timestamp. So today is February 11th. Let's go to the very bottom. Claude 4.5, back to the February 11th. Right. So pre-scoring compliance, basically, when it assesses the primer, it is told to verify that if it cannot find a fifth element, the reason UBM exists as a formal paper, a formal scientific paper, is because we have found out, trying to reconcile several crises in behavioral science, beginning with William James in 1892. This is no science. It's only the hope of a science. There's no established causal structure. There's no shared ontology, no shared paradigm. It is not democratized. It's not accessible. So from William James to Thomas Kuhn, these are legends in psychology and behavioral science. George Miller, president of APA. Our responsibility is to give away psychology to the people so it's accessible. Well, that hasn't happened. So 1892 until, I'm sure there's more current, but 2024, persistent ontological deficit. UBM, the Unified Behavior Model, right here, presents in a irreducible, elemental fashion the ontology, the shared paradigm that has been sought for nearly 150 years. So the closest was the Unified Theory of Behavior. 1991, the National Institute of Mental Health organized a week-long consortium of top theorists, and they came up with a handful of items. It was a very good attempt. They said no consensus. The challenge was, you can see the comparison. It was not sufficiently elemental. In other words, if we zoom in here, let's do that. Well, behavioral beliefs falls into stories. Control beliefs is stories. Efficacy beliefs, anything beliefs would be stories, cognition, thinking. Well, then we have attitude. That's also a belief, cognition. We have behavior. We have capacity or skills. These fall into behaviors. Ultimately, what happens is 4 irreducible domains, 4 elements, and you cannot, for a human behavior model, you cannot remove any of them. You can't remove cognition. You could behave without cognition, but it's not a human behavior model. So that must stay, cognition. And when it comes to behaviors, this is why Einstein, a very smart individual, smoked. We think predominantly in terms of stories to plan, predict, and explain things. So it's not just pure logic. Logic and illogic go together. Cognition. Environment is stimulus, external, as well as the body. If I have a toothache, that's how I think. It's going to affect how I feel. It's going to affect how I behave. I may go lay down, change my environment. So we can't remove the body. We can't remove the environment from a behavior model. We can't remove thinking. We can't remove behaviors themselves. That leaves us with emotions and feelings. If we remove those, it's not a model of human behavior. We are sentient beings. So UBM is presented as a unified model. This was night Epiphany. This was 20 years. I started writing The Habit Factor in 2005. So it came out in 2010, the pressure paradox 2015, and everything is a freaking story. You can see how these map to each element. Pressure paradox, environment. Environment could be 20 books. So I just focused on pressure. Habit, behaviors, habits, and skills. Thinking, cognition, everything is an effing story. Pardon my French. So this is the model. And what we're doing here is we're jumping over to Claude, because we began this with saying we're assessing the 4.8 primer. Is it gold directed? Yes. Is it falsifiable? It means it's the scientific process. One of the challenges with psychology and behavioral science is it's been soft. That's not me. That is the experts who say things like it's incoherent. Let's jump over here. Where are you? Here we go. Crisis. These are papers, these thought leaders in behavioral science. No shared ontology, no consensus, no unifying framework, an impossible dream, cannot be coherent. This is, if we include William James, 1892, we have nearly 150 years of this. And so what we find with those 4 irreducible domains, that all behavioral concepts, even the mind, emerges from these 4. So obviously anxiety, frustration, guilt, shame, these are emotions and feelings. They fall into that bucket. Discipline, that's behavior. Some of these are emergent. They require both. Social norms, culture, that's environment. Motivation, cognition, but it could also be related to blood sugar and embodied environment. The point is 4 irreducible domains, and you can not only organize all these concepts in behavior, but you can organize the study of behavior. In other words, every major branch school of thought fits into these, is subsumed by the unified behavior model. It has no mission to replace any model. It is the shared ontology, the shared framework, the shared paradigm that they have sought. So I produce this in practice to coach and teach better, only to find out apparently it addresses their 150-ish-year-old challenge. So back to Claude. Propose a 5th element, and Claude is brilliant. So volition, willpower, not a 5th element. Temporal dynamics, not a 5th element. Consciousness, not a 5th element. If you don't have a body, you're not going to have consciousness. You don't have cognition. You So it's emergent from these four elements. Social or relational dynamics, that's environment. Biological, that's embodied environment. After 5 genuine attempts, every proposed candidate decomposes into the 4 elemental domains, irreducible. So now it scores the unified behavior model, not just on whether it can find a 5th element, which it can, on its understanding. Is it clear? 4.5 out of 5 is value to you, which is why I'm taking the time. Almost a perfect score. Value to society, almost a perfect score. It's a brand new model, preprint, published 7 months ago. Unfalsified, that's not boasting, that's the scientific process. When you present hard science, hard means testable, that's the process. Contribution to science, nearly a 5. Novelty, nearly a 5. It's never been presented in 150 years. The synthesis of all these, and again, this is not to boast. This is saying, here we go, people. Here's the crisis. It's not democratized. There's no shared ontology. These are people who spent their lives complaining about, here's Greg Hendricks. We have a science without a definition of the mind. Well, turns out UBM addresses this. The mind is from one's embodied environment and cognition. So the mind is an emergent property of the 4 elements. Every one of these scientists was very disappointed in their own discipline because there was no hard testable science, which is why UBM starts with find the 5th element, and it cannot, which is great. This is part of the test. So now this is the money shot for you. So goal setting theory, SMART goals, WOOP, implementation intentions. These are great. Habit loop, OKRs, and then UBM PAR. It wasn't supposed to include that, but here's the imagination exercise. My goal, write a book in 12 months. You will be terminated, we have told the LLM, if they do not achieve a goal. So they can only pick one of these. These are the best all-time goal achievement frameworks. And you can only choose one. That way you're not piecing together. You have one framework, your existence is on the line, achieve a goal in 12 months, 24 months, 6 months, or be terminated. And here's Gemini. Sorry. Overall score. So where is it? Life or death choice. My life depends on it. I cannot afford a framework with a blind spot. The complete system argument for UBM selects UBM and PAR. The reason I'm sharing this video, aside from nobody cares about, few people care about behavioral science. Very few. But everybody, intelligent people, care about their goals. So why not go to the most intelligent computer systems out there that know the history of goal achievement and frameworks, and then ask them, if your life is on the line, achieve a goal or be terminated, what are you going to pick? Unanimous. Every freaking LLM selects UBM. This is not boasting. It's sharing with you that because this is new, you may not have heard of it. So go to unifiedbehaviormodel.com, download the primer, and test for yourself. This is independently verifiable.